Hi everybody, Melissa from Melissa vs. Fibromyalgia here, and it's been a good long while since I have been able to make a video for you. I have been going through some things. This has been a crazy year, and if you look back at my last few videos, you'll kind of see a snapshot of it. Everything is happening, but I wanted to jump on today specifically to ask you, when was the last time you made things easy for yourself? Is that something that you can answer quickly, or is that something that takes some time to think about? This is something that I've been really challenging myself with. I get this little kind of thing where I feel guilty if I'm not the one doing all the things. I feel like maybe people will think I'm lazy, or I don't know, some other negative thing. I just get myself into a spiral. And I look around at some women in my life who have no health issues at all, and they take the help. They pay for it, they, accept it from family, they take the help. And I have such a hard time doing that, and I shouldn't. I am tired of being the person that everyone says, I don't know how you do it. Because the reality is, I do it and then my health suffers. And that's just not an acceptable cost versus benefit analysis. It's just not. So I want to let you know that I am really in my life trying to make things easier. I'm trying to take the help. I'm trying to do the things that'll help me, and I'm trying to not feel guilty about it. And I'm not a big one for things like words and affirmations outside of my yoga nidra practice, but I think for 2023, my word needs to be ease. Am I making this easier for myself? So I'm being really careful. I am really proud of how I've done my reintegration back into work after my fourth baby. I've been really careful about how many hours I've offered, and I'm being really smart about how I set it up. But now we are looking at a time of transition. So my 19-month-old is not really like a little baby anymore. He's probably the most robust of the four, and there is a preschool that's just opened up like 2 minutes walk away from here. So I feel like we're in a position where he would thrive in that environment. So I'm looking at making use of that so that I have reliable childcare. So if one of the carers is sick, it's not all closed down. They still can go, and I'm not stuck working home alone with two little kids. So I'm working on making sure I've got appropriate childcare for work, but also trying to figure out, hey, how do I create space for all these other things that I have to do? Because a mom does a lot. Like with my husband away a lot in the last month, it all falls on me, and it starts at like 6 or 6:30 in the morning when the first kid gets up, and it doesn't finish until 8:30, 9 o'clock when the last kid finally stops being so busy and goes to sleep. There is nothing busier than a kid that's meant to be going to bed. And so there's not very much time for me to finish my jobs, do a last tidy up, get lunches ready, sit down and relax myself, do a mindful bedtime routine, and then have a bit of insomnia. There's just not enough time, and I'm not getting enough sleep, which is ridiculous because I have fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, and probable endometriosis, which I have an update for you eventually coming about that as well. But they are taking me seriously finally, and maybe sometime in the next year or so I might have an operation to help me out with that. In the meantime, I'm dealing with a lot, and four very busy boys. They are busy, and I don't know if it's the number, just like that there's four of them, or that they're particularly hardcore, but they are hardcore. They are wonderful about hardcore. So it's time to start thinking, how can I make this easier, and stop feeling high maintenance, or maybe just own that I'm a bit high maintenance. And look, I'm high maintenance for a really good reason, not because I just am, right? I don't want to get negative, but I'm not high maintenance for a bad reason. Yeah, I'm protecting myself and therefore how I can give to my family. So today I took my yoga nidra rest, and I was crashing, and so I knew I needed it to last longer. So I did not force myself to get up after 30 minutes. And so then I employed help. On a Wednesday, my mum picks up the big boys from school for me. So I said, hey, could you please drop them home for me today so I don't have to drive out and get them? And I asked my brother to pick up the little two from their carer again so that I don't have to use 45 minutes of energy and my back probably would be a bit mad at me at this point if I tried to sit in the car for that long. But just those little things so that I could finish work, have a shower, and cook up some nutritious food for us to make things easier. I have a world of things I could say about food as well. I really need a heap more time. But I just want to encourage you to think of all those ways that you could create ease. And yeah, if you have loads of money, go ahead and outsource the laundry, get someone to come and clean, get someone to cook, whatever, if you can afford it, do it. But even if you can't, just try and find those little things that makes life easier. Like the yoga nidra, that boosts me. And so that's more about what I'm saying yes to those things that really support me, as well as saying no to the things that don't. And I mean, if you've got people in your life, which we all do, I certainly do, I have people that I really have to push against, especially some people close to me, and they can't just accept when I say no, that's not something I can do. It's not an acceptable cost that I will experience. It's a whole other story. And maybe one day we'll all know how to stand up for ourselves better. But I think the first place it will come from is learning to care for ourselves and just say no and take help. So I challenge you today, this week, this month, next year, just start taking little steps to think, how can I make this easier for myself? And do it and follow through with it and see what changes that makes for you and the people around you. Because I have a feeling that when I'm setting the tone and doing too much and doing it all, I perpetuate the idea that I have to do all of these things and I have to do it all, and I don't. So I'm stopping now, and I encourage you to as well.